Hey, you wild women! How are you doing? If you're watching this on YouTube, you might notice my background's a little bit different because I am literally sitting on the floor of our Airbnb in Barcelona as we embark into our third week, maybe fourth week of world schooling the boys. Lots to talk about, but today I want to talk about growing your influence and positioning yourself as being the expert in the space that you're in. I actually just finished coming back from a wonderful woman named Elise Dharma's home where we recorded a YouTube episode for her YouTube show. And I'll put the links to that in the show notes. When we talk about all things world schooling and building influence and affluence and rich girl energy. And it got me thinking about this exact topic, about how I got to be the woman that she is asked to be on her show in her city without having 1 million followers. You see, at the time of this recording, I only have 22,000 followers on Instagram. That might be a lot for some, but in the world of influence, it seems like such a small number. Then it got me thinking, it's not about the size of your audience, but it's about the people in your audience that trust you, that engage with you, that know you. So in this episode, I'm going to break down how to become the go-to expert in your space without being the person that wrote the book about it or having the top podcast, but really about the trick in becoming that expert. In the years that I was doing PR, I had some incredible people come that we worked with in the industry and the agency, and they'd accomplished a lot of things. And they didn't have that big of a following, and they didn't have that big of a team. Yet there was some substance about them. They had this secret sauce that allowed them to be the ones that not only the media came calling for, but they were asked to speak on so many different podcasts. And I kind of want to break this down for you because this is something that almost anybody can do, but they need to have this, and write this down. The most important thing is they need to have the perseverance. Because even looking at my husband, who published his book, Buy Back Your Time, almost 2.5 years ago, he is still on a book tour. Every opportunity he has to get on stage, to be on a podcast, to put together a book meetup, he is still doing it. So the work is never done. And that's the most important thing to remember as positioning yourself as the expert in the space, is that the consistency is there. The work never ends. It just gets easier. So when I first started my PR agency back in 2012, I had never pitched the media a day in my life. Yet I grew that business to over $1 million. And I always asked myself, who am I to do this work? Who am I to be the person to talk about PR and teach the concepts of getting your name out there? The truth is that the expertise isn't just about the years of the experience, as I already talked about. It's about the clarity you have for what it is that you're doing. It's the confidence that you have. It's the connection you create with your audience. And today, I'm breaking it down for you in some simple steps, some action items that you can do starting right now to become an expert in your industry, to become the go-to person that people want on their shows, they want to blog about and vlog about and talk about. First of all, before we jump in, is I want to redefine the word expert, because we think of expert as somebody who's got a New York Times bestseller who has 1 million followers on social. But it's not necessarily those people, although they can be experts. It's really about not knowing everything, which is the craziest thing. It's about being a few steps ahead of everybody else and communicating clearly. Think about the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. I always talk about this. Is in the movie, he gets caught, right? Because he was always like running away from the law, and he ends up becoming these like alter egos as a professor. And when they catch him, they ask him, how did he do it? And he basically said, well, in teaching sociology, I only ever had to be a chapter ahead. And like realistically, in life, sometimes you only have to be one chapter ahead. It could even be one paragraph ahead. So don't think that just because you haven't finished the book, or you haven't got all the credentials or certifications, that you can't be considered the expert, because to somebody you are, and you have that expertise and you have that knowledge to share. The big lesson that it boils down to is this, is expertise equals clarity plus confidence plus results. Not just about the time in the industry. Notice how I never said time? It's about the clarity, it's about your confidence, and it's about your proven track record. So here are some tips on how you position yourself as the go-to in the industry. Don't overthink it. Number one, pick your lane. Specialize in a niche so that your message stands out. It's not about being everything to everybody. And actually, when I had my first PR agency, we were a demand marketing agency, and we did a lot of things for a lot of people. We actually grew our influence, and we made more money the more offers we took off the table. And we got really succinct with our core offer of doing public relations for funded technology startups. It was that simple. There was a list of things we did and an even bigger list of things we didn't do. So you can bet when people were looking for experts in a very specific niche when it came to PR, we were the people that they came to for advice. The next thing in positioning yourself as the go-to is that you have to create consistent and helpful content, even like small bite-sized tips. Those help to build authority. We're in this age now where people are saying everybody's a media company. You have to be your own media company in order to get ahead. And we see that it works really well for the Hermosis, for Cody Sanchez, heck, for even my husband. Most people don't have the team to be able to do that. But if you have a camera, or if you have a phone and you have a social media account, it's really a matter of just showing up, going live, shooting videos. Nothing has to be perfect production. And you could hire my husband, or you can hire my son Max to do video editing if you really wanted to. But the point being is be consistent. When you pick your lane, you choose your niche, you talk about the content that solves that niche's problem and only that niche's problem, you become that expert. So now your number 3 is sharing stories and your frameworks. Frameworks give the structure, stories make them relatable. Give your good stuff away. It's not like people are going to sit in here and like download all of your stories and download all of your podcast episodes and come up with an idea of what might be included inside your course and program or coaching program. They don't have the time for that. So give them teasers of the good stuff that you talk about. Share that stuff for free, because in these moments, you become the person that's shared. You become the person that's quoted. You become the person that gets invited to be on stages, on podcasts, and in the media, because you're showing them your frameworks and your expertise. You don't need 100 clients or a massive audience to be seen as an expert. You don't need enough to, pay the bills. You just need enough to pay the bills. You need enough to create that momentum. You need to experiment with content and messaging and to just show up consistently with value. Like even me right now, 3:00 in the afternoon, and on the floor of our Airbnb where I shoo the kids away for a little bit so that I can record this. If I waited for the perfect studio, or if I waited to like batch record this stuff with the media team, or when I was home, this wouldn't get done. But it's not about it being pretty and polished. It's about the consistency. It's about the type of the content. It's about showing up and sharing it regardless of the circumstances. Okay, so how to position yourself as this expert? The first thing you got to do, if you feel like you lack the expertise, is position yourself as a connector. So you need to curate the knowledge and introduce ideas or concepts or even people to others that don't know about it. So when Instagram first started out, remember how everyone was always sharing other people's quotes, and those accounts grew and grew and grew. It wasn't about their own content. But when you do this, you're connecting the people together, you're connecting other people's ideas. You still need to sprinkle in some of your own stuff. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room or on social media. You just need to know how to bring the smartest people together. I did this with the Pink Skirt Project and we crushed it because I wasn't the one who could talk to you about AI and about hormones and about like being seen initially the way that Jen Gottlieb talked about it. But I was able to curate the speakers, the sponsors, the vendors, and the people in that room. People trusted that I was going to bring them a great experience. Here's why this is powerful at authority building strategy. Because if you got the chance to be in the room at the Pink Skirt Project Summit last year, by the way, it's July 9th and 10th in Kelowna again this year in 2026, is you got to see how successful we were in creating the most epic vibe in a room, the most epic pink skirt day ever that left people gyrating with excitement. So here's how connectors actually become authorities. Become the connector, you become the authority. As people remember and value those who introduce them to game-changing resources or people or ideas. So if I said to you, and if you've listened in or if you know me, that I'm going to run a mastermind in Tulum, Mexico with a bunch of women, and you probably don't know them, but I want you to come because you're going to get a lot of value from it. Would you trust that that weekend or week in that room would be amazing? Probably, because you know that I'm great at curating a big room if you've been to my event. You become that like hub in your network, the person everyone turns to for recommendations, for advice, for frameworks. It demonstrates how you're plugged into your industry and how you pay attention to what actually matters, especially to your niche. Here's how you do this is one, if you're not going to have a big event or you're not going to curate people, is curate valuable content. Maybe share lesser known podcasts or books or tools, all the stuff that your audience hasn't yet discovered that you think would be valuable. And don't just share it. Add your commentary as to why it's valuable and how to apply it. Like Cody Sanchez does this, where she's always quoting other people and using other people's experiences as stories to drive home a point. It wasn't her experience, it wasn't her story, but she's sharing it from her perspective. You can create like resource roundups or who to follow niches. I actually did this the other day. I posted a story with a question on, hey, I said, I love my childless mentors, but I'm actually looking for women who are battling the same problems as me in being an entrepreneur and being a mother. Like, who are these women out there? And that caused so much engagement. I got so many people asking for this list of women. Like, who are these women that I actually put a page on my website? I'm going to put this link in my show notes because I don't know what it is, but it's reneewarren.com/something. Anyways, what happened from this one story was that I got a crap ton of engagement and people wanting to know who are these other women. And so now I become this connector of people and ideas. You need to make strategic introductions. And I do this as much as I can. And I do it very strategically. But if you connect two people in your network who should know each other, obviously with their permission first, then you become that trusted person of knowing the right person. So they say it's not about who you know, but it is about who you know. It's always about who you know. So make that effort to go out, to attend the Pink Skirt Project, to go and network so that you have a bigger source, a bigger pool to connect those people together. Introduce your audience to experts through podcast interviews like I do, through Instagram Lives, or guest posts, create an event and put them on stage. And always give credit generously. Tag people, share other people's stuff, comment, acknowledge resources, amplify those voices, become your community's biggest cheerleader. Because we all need a cheerleader. We all love the cheerleaders. We want to do everything for our cheerleaders. Become that person. And then start to bridge different worlds together. Bring ideas from one industry into yours, right? Like, how can entrepreneurs learn from elite athletes? Translate complex concepts into accessible language. Most people only read at a grade 5 English. And be the person who spots trends early and brings them into your community's attention and teach them how to leverage that trend. The magic is when you consistently connect people to valuable resources and people and relationships. This is when you become that valuable resource yourself. This is like when you do this and you do it so well that you curate the resources and the people that pretty much anytime you suggest something, people will buy it or eat it up. Authority isn't always about what you know. Sometimes it's about who you know and how generously you share access to people. Okay. So the next one is build authority through visibility. This is the power of consistent content and showing up where your audience is. So if you're just starting out, don't start out on YouTube and LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok and try to be everything to everybody. Own one channel and own it well. The most knowledgeable person in your industry isn't always the one recognized as the expert. It's the person who shows up consistently that wins. Authority is built through repetition and visibility, not perfection. So let me teach you why visibility equals authority and why this is so important. The mere exposure effect is real. People trust what's familiar to them. The more someone sees it, like you, the more credible you appear and the more memorable you become. Consistency breeds confidence in your expertise, and you can't be the go-to expert if no one knows you exist. You can't be like, I want to be out there like Cody Sanchez, but I'm not a contrarian and I don't want to offend anybody. Good luck, sister. As my late friend Rachel Luna says, you have all the permission in the world to offend. So go out and do it. Doesn't matter what you do or say, someone will be offended. So if that's what's stopping you from actually putting yourself out there, you can stay in that mediocre position you're in now, or you can actually take the leap and go out and just do your own thing, talk about what lights you up, knowing that some angry person is going to come out and have an opinion, and that's okay. It's the name of the game. Remember, what you're doing is you're actually building mental real estate. Every time you show up, you're planting a flag in your audience's mind. Remember me. Remember Renee. It's her. She talks about rich girl energy. She talks about the Pink Scar Project, the summit, and the society. If you need a business coach, wink, wink. And when they finally need what you offer, your name comes up first. See? It's not about that one viral post because, yes, that helps. And we've seen those stories of people getting 500,000 followers because of it. But it's about being impossible to ignore over time. So even though someone went viral, everyone's watching like, what are they going to do next? Remember the girl in finance that was like, hey, can someone remake a song called I'm Looking for a Man in Finance, blah, blah, blah. Where is she now? She, I think, got to like be on stage with David Guetta and I don't know, these cool things happened, but she didn't take advantage of the viralness of what she created. And soon that just went downhill. And so it's really about consistently showing up and making sure that, hey, if something does hit, like leverage that, keep going. That's the type of content people want. So how you build your authority through strategic visibility is choosing that platform, one or two. Don't spread yourself too thin. Don't overthink it. Go where your customer is. If it's LinkedIn, it's B2B. If it's Instagram, maybe it's for lifestyle. If it's podcast, for thought leadership. Master one platform before adding anything else. Like really understand it. Become the expert in the platform to know how to leverage it for your business. See what I'm saying? If you're a one-woman shop or you got a small team, you got your EA to take the courses, do the work, or you figure out how to do it quickly. But listen, it's never so much about the perfectly executed strategy so much as it is about showing up consistently. So, and here's the other thing, is you got to show up when you do not feel like it. Listen, I have not eaten lunch yet. It's 3 p.m., my fault. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Barcelona. I don't have anything else after this. It is really hard for me to sit here and record this episode when I could be outside playing with my kids. And I'm not saying I'm exchanging that time with them. This is something that has to get done. I don't feel like it, but I am here. And the more I put into this, the more I get fired up. So for instance, is like, if you're doing your first 10 podcast episodes, your mom and your friends are going to hear it. And then maybe the next 50 is like somebody else will hear it and share it. And then it'll grow and grow. Listen, we're like 5 years in, over 400 episodes. And I have people come up to me all the time saying how much they love this podcast. So thank you for listening and sharing that. But it's not like it's going to be a home run from the beginning. No, I'm not a famous person. I'm not a name in Hollywood. I haven't gone viral on TikTok. I'm just Renee Warren. But I know that this message lands on people. I know the content I share is important for a lot of you women. And so because of that, I keep showing up. People want to know like what's happening behind the scenes. You can share that. People lurking, it's a thing. The ones who stick around through the nobody's watching phase, that phase of growing your influence, those become your most loyal audience members. They're the cheerleaders that show up no matter what. They volunteer at your event. They leave reviews on your podcast. See what I'm saying? Is the nobody's watching phase is an era everybody goes through. Everybody does. So it's okay. Just do it and get it over with. And then everybody watches. Be findable when someone goes looking for you. If someone Googles your name, what comes up? What do they see? Optimize your content as much as possible, your messaging, tweak it. Make sure your profile on social media says what you do. Don't lock it down. Don't make it private. Listen, if you want to be seen, go out there and say, hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. Direct message me the word growth and I'll send you my free guide. Update your website. Update your socials. Have content that demonstrates that expertise. It is not hard to create a basic funnel of a website with a lead magnet that is very simple. It could be a one-page checklist that talks about exactly why you're considered the expert. But you need to be talking about the content over and over and over again to the point where people are like, how can you actually talk about this again and again and again? Well, I've actually talked about this topic probably 50 times on this podcast. And here I am again, because people need to be reminded. So also note that visibility is really about being in action. Having weekly touch points. Pick one day each week to share valuable insights. Tuesdays could be teaching. Wednesdays could be about something else. Make it memorable. Behind the scenes content, people love that. Engage. Don't just broadcast. Sometimes the best way to show your expertise is to be the person that provides commentary on other people's content. And repurpose ruthlessly. Don't always think you have to create the same content over and over again. Remember, people need to be reminded. So here's what happens with this like visibility mindset shift is stop waiting until you're ready or more experienced or have a better story or a better angle. Your ideal client is only 5 steps behind you. They're watching. They don't need to have a perfectly polished book. They don't need to have you on every podcast. They just want your presence. They want your knowing right now that expertise is going to help them through a thing. Bottom line, authority isn't given to the most knowledgeable person. It's claimed by those brave enough to consistently show up, share their perspective, connect the people, stay visible, be remembered. So maybe you need to ask yourself where you're playing small. Where do you need to show up consistently? And what's one platform you can execute on today, now for 90 days? And lastly, in all of this, is you need to share what you're learning in real time, document your journey. You become the expert by accumulating stories and experiences and failures. And you can only do that by doing. And sharing that journey in real time, that's a game changer. One of the myths holding most people back from building authority is they think this. They think, quote, I can't teach until I've mastered it completely, which is really just procrastination tactic. It's bull crap. Some of the most powerful teaching happens in the messy middle when you're figuring it out alongside your audience. So people connect with your journey, not the podium. Share the stories. Share the stories. I shared the story about getting my nose done a year and a half ago. And which I thought would come with judgment actually came with so much support and so much more visibility because I was authentic about it. People want to hear the story. You do not need to wait 10 years to start teaching. You could experience something today, learn something today, and teach it right away. I'm just trying to think of what I learned today. But I bet you if it was a cool lesson, I could come and say, hey, here's something I learned today. Not that I'm like the expert or authority on it, but now you position me as somebody who knows a little more because I experienced it. There's also this philosophy about documenting and not creating. So document things. What I mean by this is like Gary Vaynerchuk, he nailed this so well. Is he said, stop trying to create polished content and start documenting your real life. He had J-Rock. He was like the OG in this space where he had a guy follow him around with a video camera for like every day of the week or something like that. It was absurd. And people started doing it and realized we love those sneaky deaky behind the scenes parts of people's lives because we want to know, are they real human? Do they poop? Do they eat? Do they sleep? What do they drink? How are they making these connections? We want to know that stuff, right? A perfect example could be like share the book you're reading, post your strategy, post your SOPs. When you're documenting this and sharing your journey, people look at it as like the most realistic, authentic content because they see you actually living it. And you can frame it honestly like this. Here's what I'm learning this month. Here's what experimenting. Here's where I failed. And this is what I did to avoid it next month. And you share those experiments in real time. It now becomes like a marketing strategy. And if you document it, it can become an SOP. If you're learning a new skill, share that. If you're reading a game-changing book, share that. Implementing a new system that's actually working, share that. Be transparent about what you don't know too, like the failures. Like, geez, I don't know how to get my business to $1 million a month because I have not done that yet. And I'm trying to figure that part out too. So people want to know the ins and outs. If you're launching a course or launching a program, share it over and over and over again. There's only a certain amount of people that see your stories and see your posts. And so that's why you need to keep sharing. You need to be reminded of this. Okay. So much to talk about, but I really wanted to kind of wrap a pretty bow around this. Is that you need to become that content goldmine. You need to become the person that's connecting the people to showing up consistently, it not being pretty or polished. Do a live when you just rolled out of bed. Do a live after a workout. Post a story when you're walking your dog. It's like when you have these like really cool ideas, these hits, share it in your industry and do it often because that's when people come calling. They care that you are the New York Times bestselling author, sure. They care if you've been on some big podcasts, but also that is such a small fragment of the filter that a genuine person would choose you to be on their show or cover you in the media about. Like, what's your story? What's the unique angle? To become the go-to expert is really like talking about this over and over and over again. For me, it's about building confidence because I lived a life where I did not go full send. I lived a whole 44 years of my life not following my dreams because I didn't believe in myself. And now I realized where I failed in all of it was I lacked the confidence. And people are saying like, Renee, your content's shifted. I see the energy in your stories and your reels. I really see your shift. And it's because of all this work. And now I show up and I can talk about it over and over again. People come to me, tell me about confidence stacking, confidence building. What is rich girl energy? So I'd love to know, what are you doing to build authority? How are you becoming the go-to expert in your space? It is easy as pie. It's about consistency. It's about experiments. It's about trial and error. And it's about always, always, always showing up. Love to know what you're doing. Follow me on Instagram, Renee_Warren. Until next time, ladies, peace out.